Iran versus the United States. If we really want to understand this relationship, we cannot just look at today's headlines. We have to go back into history. Because this conflict did not suddenly appear. Its roots go deep into 20th century political decisions, oil politics, the Cold War, revolution, sanctions, and the struggle for dominance in the Middle East. Let's begin in the early 20th century. Iran, known historically as Persia, was strategically important. It had vast oil reserves and a crucial geographic position, bordering the Soviet Union and close to the Persian Gulf. Naturally, global powers paid close attention. Britain, in particular, had strong influence over Iran's oil industry. For many Iranians, it felt like foreign companies were profiting from their natural resources, while ordinary citizens saw little benefit. In 1951, a major turning point occurred. Mohammad Mossadegh became Prime Minister of Iran. He made a bold decision to nationalize the oil industry. That meant taking control of oil production away from foreign companies and putting it under Iranian state control. For Britain, this was a huge blow. But the United States also grew concerned. The Cold War was underway, and Washington feared instability in the Middle East could open the door to Soviet influence. In 1953, the CIA, along with British intelligence, helped orchestrate a coup that removed Mossadegh from power. After the coup, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi consolidated his authority. He was pro-Western and became a close ally of the United States. From that point on, Iran was one of America's most important partners in the region. The U.S. provided military and economic support, and Iran became a pillar of American strategy in the Middle East. However, there was another side to the story. The Shah pursued modernization and economic development. He expanded women's rights and invested in industry. But at the same time, political repression increased. Opposition groups were suppressed, and the secret police, Savak, became notorious for its harsh methods. Many Iranians began to see the Shah as a Western-backed autocrat. This growing resentment exploded in 1979 with the Islamic Revolution. Led by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, the revolution overthrew the Shah. Iran was transformed into an Islamic republic. This marked a dramatic shift in relations with the United States. Washington lost a key ally overnight, and the new Iranian leadership openly opposed American influence. Later that same year, another major crisis erupted. Iranian students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran and took 52 American diplomats hostage. They were held for 444 days. This hostage crisis deeply angered the American public and led to severe U.S. sanctions against Iran. Diplomatic relations were effectively severed, and mistrust between the two nations hardened. Soon after, in 1980, the Iran-Iraq War began. Saddam Hussein's Iraq invaded Iran. Although the United States publicly claimed neutrality, it provided various forms of support to Iraq. From Iran's perspective, this was yet another example of American hostility. In the 1990s, the Cold War ended with the collapse of the Soviet Union. But U.S.-Iran tensions did not fade. In 2002, President George W. Bush labeled Iran part of the axis of evil, accusing it of pursuing nuclear weapons and supporting militant groups in the region. The nuclear issue became central to the conflict. Iran insisted that its nuclear program was for peaceful purposes, such as electricity generation. However, the United States and several Western countries suspected that Iran was attempting to develop nuclear weapons. As a result, multiple rounds of international sanctions were imposed. Iran's economy suffered significantly. Oil exports declined, inflation rose, and ordinary citizens felt the pressure. In 2015, there was a breakthrough. Under President Obama, Iran and 6 world powers signed the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, known as the JCPOA. Under this agreement, Iran agreed to limit its nuclear activities in exchange for relief from economic sanctions. Many observers believed this could mark a new chapter in U.S.-Iran relations. But in 2018, President Trump withdrew the United States from the deal, calling it flawed. Sanctions were reimposed under a maximum pressure campaign. In response, Iran gradually reduced its compliance with the agreement. Tensions once again escalated.
In 2020, the situation became even more volatile. A U.S. drone strike in Baghdad killed General Qasem Soleimani, one of Iran's most powerful military leaders and head of the Quds Force. Iran vowed revenge and launched missile strikes on U.S. bases in Iraq. The world feared that a broader war might erupt in the Middle East. This rivalry extends beyond just the two countries. It involves Israel, Saudi Arabia, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, and the conflict in Syria. The United States accuses Iran of supporting armed groups to expand its influence. Iran argues that it is building a network of resistance against Western dominance and regional adversaries. In recent years, tensions have fluctuated. The Biden administration attempted to revive the nuclear agreement, but negotiations faced numerous obstacles. Meanwhile, Iran has dealt with domestic political challenges, protests, and economic hardship, further complicating its foreign policy. So what is the core reason behind this decades-long conflict? Is it nuclear weapons, oil politics, ideological differences? In reality, it is a combination of all these factors. The United States seeks to maintain its strategic influence in the Middle East. Iran aims to establish itself as an independent and influential regional power. Since the Islamic Revolution, Iran's political ideology has been strongly critical of Western intervention. From Washington's perspective, Iran's regional activities and military capabilities pose security concerns. Domestic politics also play a major role. In the United States, foreign policy toward Iran often shifts depending on which administration is in power. Some presidents favor diplomacy, others prefer a hard-line stance. In Iran, internal divisions between reformists and conservatives also shape policy decisions. This long and complicated history shows that U.S.-Iran relations cannot be understood by looking at isolated events. The 1953 coup, the 1979 revolution, the hostage crisis, nuclear negotiations, sanctions, and targeted killings, each chapter has layered more mistrust onto the relationship. Looking ahead, the possibility of direct war is always a concern, but both sides understand that a full-scale conflict would be extremely costly. Instead, much of the confrontation takes place in the shadows, through proxy conflicts, sanctions, cyber operations, and diplomatic pressure. Ultimately, the story of Iran versus the United States is not just about two countries. It is about history, ideology, economic interests, regional power struggles, and global competition. To understand today's tensions, whether about nuclear talks, sanctions, or military incidents, we must remember the decades of events that shaped them. The past continues to influence the present, and as long as the underlying issues remain unresolved, the relationship between Iran and the United States will likely remain one of the most complex and consequential rivalries in modern international politics.